and welcome to Swim Chats, a podcast about ocean swimming. I'm Shona Riddell, a writer, former journalist and swimmer from Wellington, Aotearoa, New Zealand. For each episode, I talk to a different guest from our swim community. Remember, if you have any questions, thoughts or suggestions, you can email me at swimchatswithshona@gmail.com or follow me on Instagram at swimchats. Please hit the follow or subscribe link wherever you're listening so you don't miss an episode. You can also leave a 5-star rating and review, which tells the algorithm that people are liking it. And if you know people that you think would enjoy it, please tell them about the podcast. Thanks for listening, enjoy the water, and here's today's episode with Grant Nalder, Wellington's Harbour Master. So, Grant, welcome to Swim Chats, first of all.
Thank you.
You are one of my most requested guests, I have to say.
Wow.
Yeah, I think because you're quite active in the Wellington Ocean Swimmers Facebook group. You know, like
Yep.
good at keeping us updated and responding to things, and yeah. So just to explain to listeners, you're harbour master for Wellington Harbour, Te Whanganui-a-Tara, which I believe, according to my Googling, is 70 square kilometres. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, actually, it's a bit bigger than that.
Oh, yeah.
So I work for the regional council, and so I'm appointed harbour master for the waters of the region. So
Oh,
that starts near the Matakona River, north of Castle Point, and goes round to the Otaki River, or just, I think, slightly north of the Otaki River.
oh, right. Okay, I didn't
So
realise it was that far north.
I don't know how many square kilometres that is, but it's quite a few.
It is quite a few.
Yep.
And so we'll start with the basics. What is a harbour master? What does a harbour master do?
Oh, there's to start with the hard questions.
Oh,
Um, Harbour Master, our role is mostly a regulatory oversight. Our mandate is safe navigation and all the various form it takes. And so, what that means for me and for my team in Wellington is we operate Wellington Harbour Radio, which is a link between Centreport, who operate the port, and the arriving shipping. They also provide information to other harbour users, to ships, pass on weather information, contact point for our office 24/7. The navigation aids, so the lighthouses inside the harbour, we go as far down as Pencarrow and Barrett Reef Buoy. Some of the others like Bering Head, Castle Point and Tongue Point are all maritime New Zealand.
hmm
We have a couple at Pairua and one at Kapiti. We look, we hold equipment for oil spill response. So that's provided by Maritime New Zealand. We hold on to it, look after it, and exercise it. And we also look after the swing moorings,
hmm
registration and administration of those, and chasing boats that go walkabout. And recreational boating. So our navigation and safety bylaws cover all boats in the region and the harbour, but it's mostly about the recreational boats. And so signage, information, chasing up miscreants and marker buoys and the like, which is where and the swim rafts, of course, we move those in and out each year. So that's probably mostly where we intersect with the swimmers, is that near to the shore and that sort of work. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about the swim buoys
Yes.
and the markers because I use those a lot, and I know a lot of the listeners do.
Great.
But how did you become a harbour master? Like, what's your background?
Okay. So traditionally, harbour masters were usually foreign-going masters. So a ship's captain, and then they'd come ashore to a port. They'd become a pilot, which is the ones that go out on the pilot boat to bring the ship in, and at some point they move on from there to be harbour master, and that's when usually they're employed by the harbour board, and so they oversaw all the commercial activities of the port. In 1989, harbour boards were disbanded, And so port companies were created whose job was to make a profit, and the regulatory and safety role went to councils, be that district councils or regional councils. So, and over time, the job has changed. Like for the last previous harbour master, and apart from one round the country, none of the harbour masters actually carry out pilotage jobs anymore. So
Right.
that background has changed. So I don't have the ocean going background. I grew up in Nelson, sailing small boats. Sailing's my thing. It's what I love. And I came over here to do a commerce degree at Victoria University. I discovered maybe that wasn't really my thing. I did finish the degree eventually, but um, through a friend, through the Spirit of Adventure Trust, I got a job on the harbour ferry and got a commercial qualification to drive that sort of size boat. And I saw an advert in the paper, back when you looked in the paper for job adverts, for a harbour ranger. I went, oh, that sounds interesting. So I applied for that, and that was with the previous harbour master. And I looked after a lot of the navigation aid, did the recreational work and things like that for about 22 years. Um, in that time, did a bit of extramural study, did a diploma in harbourmaster study from a UK university. And yeah, when my previous boss retired just over 8 years ago, I applied for the job and ended up in the hot seat, as it were.
Cool. What an interesting CV. I didn't know there was a diploma in harbour master, but
There
that,
was, and
yeah.
I got a call from the university saying, "Would you like to do your masters?" And I went, "No, thank you."
Fair enough. How many harbour masters are there in New Zealand?
There are. I usually quote 16. I think that's about right. So that sort of 16 ports, most have more than one. In Wellington, I've got one deputy. Some may have a couple more depending on where they are. Places like Waikato have quite a few. They don't have the same big commercial shipping, but they've got a lot of recreational boats and spread over a very large area. Um, and Canterbury, similarly, they go from Kaikoura down to Timaru, so they spread around. So yeah, there's nominally 16, but there are a few more people than that in the role, probably 40 to 50 throughout the country.
Oh, right. Okay. And I have a listener question from my swim friend Tim.
Yep.
He wants to know, what is a typical day in the job for you, if there is such a thing as a typical day?
Um, yeah, typical's the challenge. First one is see if anything odd has happened overnight, like make sure the nav lights are working. We get checklists on that. See what's in the email. So for my role, being part of a council, it's a balance between the council roles, management meetings and planning meetings and what have you there, and then the harbour mastery stuff. I have quite a lot to do with Centreport, so they have the tugs and the pilot boats, because that's the other question. People find out I'm a harbour master. It's like, oh, can I go for a ride on the tugs? It's like, maybe, but they're not mine, so you can't ask me for that.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll catch up with them. We have quite a bit to do with the ferries. It could be recreational groups you have to talk to. Yeah, I guess it's always been one of the attractions of the job is there's quite a variety. Um, the getting out, talking to people and doing things. Occasionally, I still go out with the guys onto some of the lights, just because I spent so long working on them. I get pulled in occasionally on that, which is great. I don't get on the water enough, um, but yeah. So I tend now to deal more with the larger ships than the smaller boats, but I still, because I've just been around for so long, I have quite a few contacts around the place. So yeah, get phone
Yeah.
calls from all sorts of people at all different times.
Right. Yeah. And has the harbour master always had a relationship with ocean swimmers, or is that a more recent thing with kind of
Um,
the growth and more people doing it?
yeah, it is a more recent thing. Um, I mean, ocean swimming's been building for quite a while, and we've been watching it for quite some time. Where possible, we love dealing with clubs because you go and talk to a club and you're talking to 50, 60, 100 people. Um, and if you're trying to get messages across or trying to get information, it's much easier. So we've always had relationships with the yacht clubs and the rowing clubs, and then over time, Wakaramas come in and dragon boating, um, and swimmers have one we've sort of seen for a while. Um, and from what we could see, it tended to be a lot of individuals. What we didn't know at that time was actually the groups were forming because there's some that have been going for a while. Um, we got quite involved with the Ocean Swim series. When that first started, they'd ask if we could help lay marks and what have you, so sort of observed a bit. And then quite some time ago was actually we started getting involved when there are issues with swimmers and rowers in Oriental Bay. And that just turned into a major head scratcher for a while. One of my colleagues got in touch with other harbour masters' office around the country, said, "What do you do when you have these groups together?" And they all came back and said, "We don't have them together." And it's like, "Oh, okay, cool, we're special." Um,
How do
and that,
they separate? How do they separate them? Like, do they
oh,
just
they just use different bits of water.
right? Okay.
Yeah, but Oriental Bay, given, while it is a big harbour,
Yeah.
in a southerly, everyone's a bit space constrained, so use the same bit of water.
Yeah.
Where in a lot of other places, the swimmers will go to one beach and the rowers will be somewhere else entirely. So
Right.
we're a bit special that it's a combination.
Yeah.
And that was so colleague at the time, John, he knew someone with a swim shop in Batoni. And that's where we first discovered swim floats. And John talked to the guy there who did some research, said, "Oh, yeah, we don't really sell them, but you can get them." So we did a subsidy on those for 'em to get some in, and we made up little stickers that went on them, and that was the first load of swim floats. And then we started seeing them on the water, which is always cool.
Yeah.
Um, and then it was, yeah, there were a couple of accidents, and it was talking to the swimmers and working with the rowers, and sort of out of that, I guess, started getting awareness of the groups that were there. We had a bit to do with Philip as well. Um, and so met him and he talked about Barb and other groups
Yeah.
and
That's Philip Rush.
Philip Rush, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
He
because
was he was my last guest.
oh right, yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, we know he's been doing this game for a while,
Yes,
um,
exactly.
and so yeah, we sort of started getting there, and one of the for all the problems with social media, one of the great things is actually um, in this sort of role, like I find that Ocean Swimmers group really helpful and an easy way to communicate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's where it developed over time, and I think I think we're in a reasonably good spot at the moment. Um, the communication flows, and it's always one of those things where if we don't know there's a problem, we won't try and fix it.
Yeah.
So it's that communicate, and likewise. So yeah,
It
it's
is a
just
really good it is a
it's
really good portal in there, isn't it, for people to
it's great.
ask questions and
Yep.
offer advice and people who are new to it and people finding groups and you mentioned tow floats before, so let's just talk about them because it would be good might be good for listeners to know what the recommendations are around tow floats as to when they should be putting one on and
Okay, so
whereabouts.
there's actually stronger than that. There is a rule around tow
Oh, a
floats.
roll.
A
Sorry.
rule. It's a bylaw. So
Yeah.
anyway, but in the last bylaw review, which was 4 years ago now, um, we'd put something in that, and actually, it's not just swimmers; it applies to free divers and scuba divers as well. That anyone intending to be more than 200 meters from shore should have a float. Um, for divers, that means if they're not diving from a boat, because if they're diving from a boat, they have a flag up that indicates where they are. But in some places, you'll get shore divers who'll go out quite a way, and um, despite trying to inform to the contrary, people in boats don't always expect to find a person in the water that far from shore,
Right.
and that's a risk. I mean, there's an onus on the boat to keep a lookout, but head is a really small thing. Um, for the boaties that, especially the yachties, you do man overboard exercises occasionally, and you throw something sort of head sized in the water, and wow, it disappears fast. And that's
Yeah.
something you're trying to see. So if you
It's
don't
almost,
know it's there, it's a bit scary.
it's almost
So
invisible. Yeah.
yeah, so outside 200 meters tow float. So that's things like, if you wanted to cross Evans Bay, which we have people get in touch. So we want to do a swim from Seatoon to Oriental, I think.
Hmm.
And the usual advice on that is, um, you know, maybe get a couple of kayaks and please cross Evans Bay in groups. Because the other thing is a group is great for visibility,
Yeah.
rather than individual. So yeah, so outside 200 meters, they need to be there. Inside of that, I mean, I think they're a great thing. Um, they provide visibility. They provide flotation. If you want to stop for a breather, you've got something to grab. And the
Yeah.
one that really scares me is if you're going to go out in the dark, you can put a torch in there
Yes.
because, oh, yeah, yeah, swimming at night, that just, yeah. I can see the appeal, but
Yeah.
from a risk point of view, that one
Health and
just,
safety. Yeah.
yeah, that one just scares me.
And especially at this time of year, because we've got the shorter days and a lot of
Yep,
people swimming in the morning.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Important.
So, and that's great. Last winter, one morning, I was going around the bays early, and there are all these little lights just bobbing around in the
Oh,
bay, and
they're beautiful, aren't they? They're like
yeah, it's
Chinese
cool.
lanterns, little
Yep,
beacons. Yeah.
yep, yep. So, a group of two or three of those, and you become really visible.
And
So,
are there rules or regular or yeah rules around the size of the tow float or the
no,
shape of the tow float? No.
no, no, it's just I should know this, but I think it says a brightly coloured float.
Right.
So, black or dark blue or dark green would be a flash idea, but they
Yeah.
tend to
Well,
come in sort of orange and yellows and everything like that. And
yeah. That's
you
right.
know, with a glow stick or a torch or something in them, they're great.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I'm
Yeah,
not a huge night swimmer, but I have done sort of dawn swims where you put one in, and
yep,
yeah, the visibility is pretty incredible.
yeah, yep,
So our Wellington ocean swimming community, you mentioned that you've been harbour master for about 8 years, is that right?
yes,
And
yep,
so, from what I've seen, and I've only been ocean swimming for about 4 years, I think, but it
yep.
looks like since the pandemic, with pool closures and things, and people getting out more and doing more outside activities, that it's grown a lot in terms of the number of people getting in the water.
Yeah, I think the numbers have grown. Um, when the lighthouse swim started, the organised event. We're amazed at the number of people. And then if you're going to do that for a competition, you've got to train it as well. And it's just more and more numbers and also in different places as well. I mean, it seems to be focused around Oriental, but Hotaito Beach and um, Lowry Bay and a few other spots as well.
And
Um,
yeah, that's right. And I was going to say we have quite a big sort of marathon swim community here as well. People who swim the Cook Strait and beyond,
yes.
And people who swim in all weather, so you would see that, obviously people swim over winter as they are doing
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
But also in, heavy rain, strong winds, there's not much that deters some of the more hardcore swimmers.
Yep.
I mean, from where you're sitting, are swimmers getting sort of more daring with their swims, or are they becoming more safety cautious, or a bit of both?
Probably a bit of both. Um, yeah, one of the recent Cook Strait swimmers actually also works at the council,
All right.
um, whose name has just escaped me. But yeah, he did that one recently. I think they're going more places, like just saying before, Oriental Bay, pretty common, but now go around the corner to Ballina Bay. Um, and yeah, the I had someone was talking about a training swim to Soames, because of course the Soames Petone swim has been going for a very long time. Um, uh, but yeah, other people doing that outside that time, and I guess that's one of the reason too with the tow floats is you're starting to find swimmers in places you don't normally.
Mm.
I think Island Bay, there are a few as well,
Yeah.
and um, a lot of our education material, because most of ours is aimed at boats or rowing or paddle boards or what have you. Looking out for swimmers is becoming a pretty standard thing on those. So yeah, I think they are getting more adventurous.
Mm.
I've seen overseas where they have multi-sport events where you chuck your shoes and your tow float, you swim apart, then you put them on and run over something and then swim some more. And yeah, good for them.
Yeah. Yeah, they do seem to be growing in popularity, don't they? I can
Yeah.
see that. Um, let's talk about the swim buoys. You mentioned those before, how in Oriental Bay we have buoys. Are the buoys just for swimmers, to clarify? I feel like they are, but are they also for
So which ones are you talking about? We have a few
uh,
there now.
yeah, good question. So we've got, well, I'm in Barb's group and we call them the first boy, second boy, third boy, turning boy. Plus there are the two new white boys that were put
Yes.
in the summer.
Yep. Yep. So okay. So yeah, we call them the 5 knot buoys. That's the yellow 5 knot buoys because that's where you've got to slow down to 5 knots, which is about it's a walking pace, 8 or 9 kilometers an hour.
Mhm.
Um, so they've been around for a long time, and that's the indication for boaties if they're heading towards the beach or what have you. That's where they need to slow down, or if they're going out, that's where they can speed up. So they've been out there as long as I've been with the council. So
Mhm.
yeah, quite a stretch. Um, and mostly we've never actually lit them because it's generally your recreational boating is mainly a daytime activity. So the ones in Oriental Bay that have the lights on them, that was Maria and Karen, um, who also work at the council. We seem to have quite a few ocean swimmers at our
Some
council.
infiltration going on.
Yes. Um, and they said, "Oh, it'd be really nice to see the boys." And with the advent of LEDs and what have you, we had some small lights that are reasonably easy to attach, and so we put them on there. Um, the the boys, how were we? The turning marker, the big one. So that came about when we're going through the issue of looking at rowers and swimmers, and one of the conflicted areas was the lighthouse because everyone aims for the lighthouse because it's really big and easy to see.
Yeah.
And so the thought with that was we made it as close as we can 1 kilometre from Freiburg Beach because we figure people that are training like numbers and like distances.
Yeah.
I know I'm always doing numbers in my head just to. So we made it 1K there, and it is almost, but not quite, the lighthouse. But it also just gives another alternative that's a bit further away from the rowers. So the rowers, as a matter of course, now are outside the buoys. If they're inside, the agreement is that they're not going at pace. They might be doing adjustments, they might be doing something else, and there's actually a coach boat that's providing lookout. Um, I think generally that's going pretty well, and I'm sure there's going to be some comments added if it's not. But I,
Yeah.
I know recently there was an issue, and I followed it up with the rowing clubs, and they went, "Yeah, no, they shouldn't have been in there," and we're talking to the coaches about it. So they are trying to manage their responsibility as well.
Yeah.
Um, so
So
sorry,
for
so that
yeah.
big turning buoy that says swimming mark, that one was just put in specifically for the swimmers.
Mhm.
And then the white ones, the two new white ones, that came from last winter. And August, I think there was a bit of a um, sudden temperature drop, which is a bit unusual. The harbour dropped about 2.5, 3 degrees over a couple of days. And a couple of the winter swimmers got a bit caught out of that, and got, oh, well, I think at least one, there was an ambulance called because they got hypothermic. And who was it? Bree organised a bit of a hooey after that to get people together and have a talk about it. And somehow the inner boys came out of that. And because one of the suggestions, and we went along, I think we did the barbecue, and I did speak, but reality was we're there to listen to hear what everyone else had to say.
Yeah.
And one of the suggestions that came out of that for winter swimmers was maybe you don't have to go the whole way to either the lighthouse or the turning buoy. And what if there was something else that they could do shorter laps of? And the rationale behind that being, if you actually found you were getting really cold, you weren't as far from the beach to get out.
Yeah, you're not caught out a long distance from shore. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so came back to, well, okay, what if we had some sort of roughly equidistant buoys going directly to the swim mark, um, to be an alternative? And from my point of view, looking at sort of the whole raft of users there, um, I quite like it because the yellow buoys that traditionally were getting used, that's sort of the edge of that's where the boats change speed. So it's sort of like a footpath on the edge of the motorway.
Mm.
In theory, it's where the cars are stopping or slowing down, but it's really close.
Yeah.
And so suddenly these white buoys are actually a good distance in. So if there's a boat coming in that's not paying as good attention as they should, and they slow down as they go past the buoy, it still means that by the time they get into that inner line, that they're where they should be.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's not excusing the behaviour, but it's sort of like the concept that a painted cycle line protects cyclists from
Yeah.
cars. It's
Yeah.
it's a nice idea if everyone does things exactly right.
Yeah. But sometimes
And
you need to be pragmatic as well, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and so yeah, I got a range of feedback on that and decided, well, actually, we'll throw a couple out there and see what people think.
Yeah.
And the feedback's been pretty good. And actually, I can let you know, because I don't think this one's been announced anywhere. We
Oh,
have ordered some permanent buoys, because there are some old marker buoys that we just painted white,
yeah.
and they are going to be bright pink.
Oh, great. Breaking news on the
So,
podcast.
breaking news on your podcast. Yep, the
Yeah.
two white buoys will be turning into bright pink buoys,
Oh,
and
great.
they will be slightly taller in the water, a little bit fatter and a bit taller.
Okay,
Um,
it's great to know. Yeah, and
yeah,
pink will help with our aiming towards them definitely.
yeah,
More
yeah. There's
visibility.
yeah, there's a lot of discussion around colours.
Yes.
And someone again in the Facebook group,
Yep.
put in there's a study done on best colour visibility of togs. That was actually comparing freshwater to saltwater, but actually pink and orange were the better twos.
Yep.
Um, Orange is probably a bit close to our yellow buoys,
Yep.
and we don't want them to look like that because we don't want boaties to think, ah, that's where I slow down.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we wanted something different from the yellow.
Yeah. Bit of
Um,
contrast.
yeah, red and green are out because they have other meanings. So
Yeah.
yeah, so we will put them and see what they are. There's a lot of discussion about lights as well.
Yeah.
About there will be lights on the new one. Still working on the color. So
Right.
you can't get pink lights, so that's not going to happen. But we'll see what we can do on lights. I don't want them all yellow because that's just going to be confusing as all heck. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
if any listeners have thoughts or opinions on what colour the lights should be, maybe they can leave a comment below the episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a. I need to talk to Maritime New Zealand to find out what we're allowed to put on there. But yeah,
Oh, yeah, that
within
too.
the rules and guidelines. But
You
yeah,
don't want too much disco flashing, probably. To
yeah, we don't. So anyway, so
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for that.
they've been ordered and they will happen at some stage. So yeah, and I quite like the fact that it sort of came from an idea from the swimmers. I know
Yeah.
not everyone. There are a few that thought it'd be a bit cluttered, but I think it's generally worked out okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, when you're swimming, they don't feel, or at least from in my opinion, they don't feel cluttered, and it's great. It provides a bit more variety as well in terms of where we're going to swim and towards which buoy as well.
yeah,
Day.
and if these were a bit bigger, and the other thing coming back to the cold water incident last year is it gives people the options rather than going right to the turning buoy, they could just do a few laps between the two white buoys in the middle and come back, so they're still not that far from shore, but get the swimming.
Yeah. And when you were talking about boaties, and sometimes they go a bit faster than they should, or they don't see a swimmer.
Yeah.
Is the most helpful thing from a boatie's perspective that obviously a swimmer has a tow float, but also that people swim in groups to help with visibility?
From my point of view, yeah, from just being out on the water,
Yeah,
one of the things that amazed me the first time I went out um, for the ocean swim, the lighthouse swim, was actually the noise. The amount of noise 300 swimmers make is just the arms in and out of the water.
just that churn.
Um, the churning.
Yeah,
Obviously, I'm not suggesting you go out in groups of 300, but yeah, no, I think for visibility, it's really good. And when people ask about doing longer swims or open water swims, that's why I'm quite a fan of a kayak or something like that because one kayak is about the size of 3 or 4 swimmers in the water, so
yeah,
it's just being visible,
yeah.
because it's really hard for people to avoid something they can't see or they don't notice.
Yes, yeah.
Um,
And one thing we've talked quite a bit about the ocean swimmers, as in people who are swimming offshore
yeah,
more than 200 meters. There are also a lot of dipping groups in Wellington. And dippers, as in people who get in the water, like
yeah,
often on a daily basis all year round, but they're not going sort of past their heads.
yes.
They're more getting in for like. Is that part of your sort of jurisdiction as well? Like, are there safety issues around that, or is it more really just the people swimming offshore?
Probably the distance, because it's an interesting one, and if you read through our legislation and rules and what have you, um, most of our work concentrates around vessels of some type or another, and that could be a stand-up paddleboard, it could be an inter-island ferry, and everything in between. And so swimmers are interesting because they're water users, but they don't sort of fit under our rules because you don't have you're not on or in a thing, you're just in the water.
Right,
So from my point of view, that it's the interaction, because actually no matter what the scale, where we have issues is interaction. at your scale, it could be between the rowers and the swimmers, um, between the ferries and yachts. Same thing. They're both fine on their own, but put them both in the same place and people get upset.
Oh,
So yeah, so the dippers, they're in close to shore. They're not going to be mixing with other water activities. So don't really have that same connection there. It's the distance and the location, I guess, with the ocean swimmers is where we connect there.
you mentioned earlier the platforms that are just offshore. So there's one,
Yes.
Freiburg Beach, which is I think about 80 meters offshore, and there's one in Oriental Bay.
Yep.
Um, they're called platforms, pontoons, or rafts. I don't know if one name is more correct than another.
No, it's yeah.
Were they there out there? I was going to say, they're a recreational thing, there for people to jump off or to swim out to. Is that,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Swim
just a
out to,
fun. I like
sit
how
on, jump
so,
off.
yeah,
Yep.
sunbathe on. I like
Some
how on Google Maps someone pointed out that they're labelled the party pontoons.
yeah,
um,
yeah. They're very popular. It's
there's a Christmas tree that goes on them.
sometimes, yep.
Yeah,
You know, we don't do Christmas trees, but I have seen that happen.
yeah, that's
Um,
a swimmer led initiative, I think.
yes. So I think there's a plaque somewhere on the wall at Oriental.
Yeah.
They were, if I've got this right, they're originally called the Iliot rafts, um, which I think is also one of the buildings at Vic University. Um, but it was Oriental Bay residents had contributed towards putting them out there, and the harbour board used to look after them. So we're going back a long time here. And then after that, the disbanding of that, sort of by default, regional council picked them up and would take them over to Centreport and lift them out on the to dry out each year. And then earthquakes came along and took out the land that they used to sit on and made that difficult. Um, and actually, it's a bit odd because regional council, we don't tend to provide things like that. It was a probably a historic thing that we were looking after them.
Yeah.
So we've actually they're now handed back to Wellington City Council, who they maintain and look after them, with still with some input from the Residents Association, because they helped to rebuild a number of years ago. Um, and so we assist by towing them to and from Evans Bay each year and hooking them up and taking them back. And yeah,
And were they there a bit longer this year? Or am I imagining that?
they were. It varies a bit. There's more pressure to keep them there longer. I Longer term, I think that's a problem. I think they need to come out probably around May, and don't be too much of a rush to put them in because they are quite wet when they come out of the water. And a
Hmm.
few months drying out doesn't do them any harm. But um, sort of around Labor Day-ish, maybe we'll see. It's always, we get that nice bit of weather, and everyone thinks, oh, we'll all go down to the beach, and then we get 3 or 4 weeks of rubbish following it. So
Yeah, that's right. Typical Wellington.
yeah, yeah. So oh, many many years ago. Um, oh, let's see. Former son was born, probably pushing 18 odd years ago. I'd been down at the gym in Freiburg one morning, and I was there waiting for someone, and their two swimmers had come out of the shower, and they'd said so. It said something about, oh, we just removed the rafts. Someone took the rafts away and went, oh, that might have been me. And she's like, ah,
No.
why did you do that for? We tie our thermometer to it.
Oh, whoops.
But there's always a float there so we can find the mooring. And yes, if people wish to hook a thermometer up to that. But yeah,
Yeah, interesting. People have their own ways of measuring the water and their own
yep,
systems, don't they, that
yep,
they like to have.
yep.
And another sort of water feature we have is the Carter Fountain. So it's the
Yes.
saltwater fountain. I only recently learned how rare it is to have a saltwater fountain. I don't think there are that
Okay.
many in the world. Yeah.
Right.
And the history, I believe, is that there was a Mr. Carter, a businessman who funded the fountain and then sadly drowned just only days after it was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a bit of a sort of a sad story behind it,
It
but
is.
from a swimmer's perspective, it's quite special to be swimming around it when it comes on in the
Yes.
morning.
Yep.
Are there set times that it turns
Um,
on and off? Do you
I
know?
don't know about times. I know. So again, that's Wellington City. Look after that one.
Mhm,
Um, I believe there's wind instruments on top of the band rotunda,
mhm.
and so if it's a strong northerly, it doesn't come on because the saltwater spray gets blown over
Everywhere.
Oriental. So it's
Yeah.
it's about direction and speed. Um,
Ah, okay. I didn't know that.
I guess there must be a timer as well because there are lots of days it could be going, it isn't. So yeah,
Yeah.
there must be a timer too. Yeah,
Oh, well, I'll ask the council.
yeah. That's wrong council. Sorry. Yeah.
No, you're right. I was going to ask about marine life in the harbour because obviously
Yep.
we have some marine life that is a regular feature, like seals in the sort of around this time of year.
Yep.
In certain months we have orcas. Occasionally we get a leopard seal that swims up from Antarctica or a southern right
Yep.
whale.
Yep.
Is that part of your jurisdiction, or is that more a dock Department of Conservation area that
Um,
they come in?
no, that's more a doc thing. Um, and it's an interesting one. There was a photo a couple of years ago of some um, baby sharks in Oriental. People standing in the water with the sharks around their feet, and these things were maybe 30 or 40 centimeters long. So
Yeah.
they were the tiny little ones, and because it's sandy, you'll get rays in there as well. Um, and yeah, no, that's just they do what they do. Um, the whale, um, number of years ago, we got a little bit involved in that. Um, on two things. There was a bit of a shared effort between ourselves and police, and a little bit of doc of actually just making sure people kept at a bit of distance. Um, but the other complication with that is the whale would have its followers of kayakers and paddle boarders and small boats, and then you get a ship coming through. So the whale sort of flicks its tail and disappears out the road and leaves all these other boats in the road. So yeah, that's very cool to see the whales in the harbour, and they do what they do. But it's just really sometimes managing the people around them
Yeah,
becomes more of the challenge.
I was thinking about that because when a southern right whale comes in, I guess it only seems to happen every sort of 7 years or so from
Yeah, it's not
what I've
too
seen.
often. Yeah,
No, but the city almost comes to a standstill.
yeah.
People want to see it, and it's
Oh, absolutely. And orca, it's amazing. We see the orca in there. There's a video of one surfaced in Schaefer's Marina. So the front of the marina is a floating breakwater. It's not solid. So obviously it had come underneath there, and it was just swimming down the rows between the boats. And it's
yeah,
like, wow, that's interesting.
yeah, they're huge and they come so close to shore, don't they?
Yeah. And they're quite a fan of seals or stingrays.
Yes,
So yeah. Um, yes.
yeah.
Black
So
black wetsuits, maybe not so good that week.
right, yeah, that's right. Last year you had a fairly dramatic day when a swimmer entered the shipping channel. They were someone who wasn't a Wellingtonian, I believe. I don't know the exact details, but they swam in front of the was it the Blue Bridge ferry, and so
Yes.
the ferry had to stop and be notified that there was a swimmer, and then the swimmer had to be sort of escorted back to
Yeah,
shore.
yeah,
Does
yeah.
that sort of thing
I've
happen very often?
thankfully no,
Yeah, right.
no. Yeah, relatively new to Wellington. I
Yeah.
now know the person.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
mean, I'm laughing about it, but I shouldn't laugh because obviously I'm only laughing because there was a happy ending and that
oh,
right, nobody was hurt, but
yeah, I mean, I must admit,
dangerous.
it's like, oh, swimmer got on the way of the ferry. Is like, you've got to be kidding. How does that happen? But yeah, they'd sort of gone from Queen's Wharf and saw the fountain, and not the fountain, saw the lighthouse, and off they went. And yeah, so they understand a bit more about ferry timetables and where you swim.
And
Um,
shipping channels. And so
and
how did you hear about it? Did you hear about it from the ferry or from
from the ferry,
yeah,
yeah. And I think from memory, the police might have gone out and had a chat just because they were handy on the water.
yeah.
But yeah, and they're a competent swimmer, but they're just sort of, Queen's Wharf, there's the lighthouse, off we go. Um, they weren't right in front of it, but they were close enough to cause some angst of the ferrymaster. Because, I mean, yeah, you think small boats are bad, ferry versus a swimmer, the ferry's not actually going to notice.
No, yeah, it doesn't bear
Um,
thinking about, does it?
no,
The
no.
moral of the moral of the story is to talk to local swimmers before you go out for a swim.
Talk to the locals, know your areas, know where the risk points are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, swimming from town outwards is interesting because you've got the marina entrance there as well, and it's not always an area that boaties are going to expect to see swimmers. Um, so yeah, that's a bit of a. I know there's groups that go between Queen's Wharf and down by the Hikatea and
Mm,
backwards and forwards there, and that's cool. But yeah, just the things like marina entrances. Um, I'm always wary of
yeah.
because especially you've got boats going in and out of there. They're either they've just come out and they're getting things sorted, or they're getting ropes and fenders out going in, and um, yeah, that's where being in a group and floats and things like that are really good. Um, the other one that picked up from a swimmer a couple of years back was they have a whistle on a little wristband just tucked into their wetsuit, and if they think a boat's getting a bit close, they'll just get on that, which is great because your voice doesn't carry particularly well, but a shrill little whistle is really annoying, and it does.
Hmm.
And I think that's a great idea as well.
I've got one in my tow float. I think somebody suggested that.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, but having it on the wrist is probably a better idea because it's a lot more accessible in a hurry, right?
Yeah, they just had one of those like curly little wristband things, so it's got a bit of stretch in it. But even if it is short on your wrist, you can get your hand close to your mouth and just give a couple of blasts there just to wake up whoever it is. Yeah,
Yeah, but
and also you get a cramp, you get into difficulty, something like that. It's a great way of getting attention.
yeah, it's a really good safety tip. You mentioned earlier that you're a keen sailor. I haven't
Yes.
asked if you're a swimmer.
Um, at various times, I do
Yeah,
have a tow float.
yeah.
Um, I a number of years ago, quite regularly used to do pool lengths.
Hmm.
I don't think the fitness is there at the moment. Um,
Fair
actually,
enough.
no, it's not. Um, not really. I don't do the distance in the sea. Um, as a family, we try and get down to the Sounds over summer, and you know, jumping off the boat and swimming around there is definitely. I love that. I'm quite happy in the water, but yeah, I don't think the fitness is quite up to stretch for that one at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. And it's not necessarily the best time of year to be swimming in the ocean, although a lot of people are still doing it in the winter.
I know.
Um,
Good
you've
on them.
probably you've probably heard of the ice swimming championships that are happening down south, and
Yes.
a lot of Wellington swimmers take part. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. Some Wellington swimmers take part in that, and I know that they use the harbour in the winter to train to build up their
I can
tolerance.
understand that entirely. Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, and the ones that swim in winter without a wetsuit, wow. I'm just, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
yeah, I agree. I usually wear a wetsuit for swims in the harbour, so yeah, I agree. It's impressive. I have another question from listener Tim.
Yep.
Is there anything that we as ocean swimmers can do to make your job easier, apart from wearing a toe float?
No, I think I can't get past visibility, being visible.
Yeah. So
Um,
bright colours.
Bright colours,
Yeah.
groups, tow floats, whistle, any of that stuff. Um, and I guess if you want to do something different and go somewhere new, have a look who else is using the area. Do you need some floating support, or and that's probably one to talk to us. We've had people that say, "Oh, I want to do a swim from here to there." If it's a large event, definitely talk to us. But if it's um, just a small one, we might say, "Well, actually, that's not so good because of this. Have you thought about changing it to there?" It's not about not trying new things because there's a big harbour and there are lots of places, but it's again, it's just thinking about that possible interaction and
Yeah.
and how you can make that safe and minimize the risk of that.
Yeah.
So
Planning
yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
I mean, I think um, the dealings in the last few years, you got a really proactive um, swimming community and quite safety conscious. So yeah,
You
that's
mentioned
great.
you mentioned Bree earlier, Brianna Ward, who also has
Yes.
her own episode on this podcast.
Yep.
You did the hui with and the safety session. Would you conduct more of those, or was that more led by her?
That one was led by her.
Hmm.
Um, we're happy to be part of them. Uh, what we've found in all sorts of areas, not just the swimmers, is that when we try to spark that stuff off, it's not usually that exciting and people aren't that fussed about it. Um, However, it's when an activity group or group of people that are interested in something, we're more than happy to come along and be part of that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's just the thing, rules and regulations are boring. No one's really that excited about them, but
Until
um,
they need them, though, right?
until they need them, yeah.
And then it's
Um,
exciting.
so yeah, I mean, yeah, that's great to do things like that, and love to be invited along, and if we can, and if we can contribute, um, that's it. There's got to be some benefit, both for you and for us to be there,
Yeah.
and more than happy to do that. Yeah,
Well, that's good to know. And so, if someone is planning on doing a longer swim or organizing a swim somewhere that's a little bit more unusual than Oriental Bay,
yeah.
what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Um,
Like, how do
oh,
people normally make contact?
we have probably, email's an easy one.
Hmm.
Um, harbours at gw.govt.
Hmm.
I'll send that through.
Okay,
Um, you can ring us on the council number, 3845 708. I'll pass on those contacts. And yeah, you'll get put through to someone on the team, and yeah, we're not too hard to find.
cool. That's good to know. And is there anything else you'd like to mention or talk about that I haven't already asked you about before we wind up?
No, I think that's pretty good. I guess just what I was saying. I think there's really good open water community. Seems to be really supportive. Um, there's some good work going on the safety focus with Bree and others. And for us, being able to deal with groups is so easy. To try and find every swimmer to talk to is just not going to happen, but um, being able to share information and I guess for you all to have somewhere you can share back through. Um, oh, actually, that's the other one for contact is even through the Facebook group. I've had a few people on Messenger have just flicked me a message. That's not always the most reliable, but I will pick it up at some stage. But yeah,
Yeah, cool.
yeah. Oh, and actually, the other number I'll put through to you is if there's anything that's going bad that needs urgent, Wellington Harbour Radio, they're our 24/7 contact. So if you get hold of them, they'll get someone in touch with you or do something like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I'll put all these details in the show notes of the episode as well, so people
Yep.
can
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you, Grant. First of all, thank you for your time, but also for looking after the harbour and allowing us to keep doing what we enjoy doing. And
Oh no, it's cool. I mean, it's a big harbour and there are lots of users, and we just got to make it work for everyone.
and thank you for the pink swim buoys that are coming. Looking forward to those.
Yeah, I don't know when, but they have been
That's all right.
ordered, so
I won't hold you to a date, but just to know they're coming is.
they're coming.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Swim Chats. Please remember to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. And if you enjoyed it, you can leave a 5-star rating and review, which helps other people find it too. Enjoy the water, and we'll see you next time.